We've been doing this series for months now, and it's been really fun. I have so enjoyed getting to know different authors and their books. Today we have an exciting book about counting birds. I'm particularly excited about this one because bird watching is kind of a winter hobby of mine, and I'm very new to it. So welcome to Susan Edwards Richmond, joining us all the way from Massachusetts, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so welcome. You want to tell us, I'd love to hear about yourself.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Aurora and Sue, and for everyone who's here today. I'm really excited about being part of this program. Oh, now I can see everybody.
There we go.
That's great.
Yeah, I stopped sharing my screen, and you guys, just a reminder, if you want to go on speaker view so you can see Susan nice and big.
Great. Well, I am very excited. Of course, I am a big birder, and I am excited about bird watching any time of the year. But the book that I'm going to share with you today, Bird Count, is specifically about an event which takes place in December. It's called the Christmas Bird Count, and doesn't really have anything to do with Christmas particularly, except it takes place at that time of year each year, and it's sponsored by the National Audubon Society, and it's something that people participate in, not just in Pennsylvania and not just in Massachusetts where I live, but all across the Western Hemisphere. So once the count starts, there's a window in which you can do the bird count from mid-December until the beginning of January. And once that starts, people will be counting in Canada and California and Texas and all over the United States, as well as Central America and South America and even Antarctica. There are counts. And this is something that everyone can participate in. It's a lot of fun. So my book, Bird Count, is a work of informational fiction, which means it is a story. It has characters in it. There's an adventure with a girl who is on her bird count, but it also has a lot of good information about bird watching and finding birds. So I just wanted to share with you, I have a few little bird friends. When you're on a bird count, there are two ways that you can count the birds. You can see the bird flying by or landing on a tree branch and count it that way, or you can hear the bird. Could everyone hear that? The sound of a woodpecker on a tree. So if I'm on a bird count, even if I don't see this little guy, the little downy woodpecker, if I hear that on the tree, I can say, there's a woodpecker. And I have a few other friends. I have a blue jay and a chickadee and a cardinal and a robin. Some of the friends that we will see when we bird with Ava today. And I just wanted to show you, when Ava birds, she uses a field guide and a checklist, but you can also make your own checklists. This is one that I use with my preschool class, and just find pictures of birds on the internet, and you can paste them in and print it out and maybe laminate it. And then you can use a little dry erase marker, and if you happen to see this little friend flying by, you can make a tally mark on your sheet. So that's something that you can do at home and go out and bird anytime.
That's a great idea.
I'm going to start by reading Bird Count to you, and I actually happen to have a PowerPoint, so you can see the pictures really well, and I don't have to hold it up to the screen. So I'm going to read from my book, but I'm going to put the screen, I'm going to share my screen, and that hopefully that will go smoothly. If we have any technical difficulties, I'm sure we'll work it out, but I'm going to share my screen, and let's see. Can everyone see that? Great. Yep. So I am the author of this book. My name is Susan Edwards Richmond. The illustrator is Stephanie Pfizer Coleman, and she's the one that created this beautiful child Ava, who will be going on the bird count today. And she does beautiful, whimsical little birds that are also very accurate. So you can tell that this is absolutely a black-capped chickadee, even though it's one with a little bit of personality. I shake Mom in the dark. Wake up, sleepyhead. It's bird count day. One Sunday each winter, we take part in a bird census called the Christmas bird count. On this day, we go out and count every bird we see or hear. Mom says helping with the bird count makes us citizen scientists. Citizen scientists are ordinary people who do real science research. We aren't the only ones either. Today, from the far north of Canada, all the way down to Antarctica, people are counting birds. Bundle up, Ava, Mom says. It's cold outside. I find my fuzzy hat and my warmest coat. I'm glad we're not birding in Antarctica. Knock, knock. It's Big Al. He's our team leader. There are 10 teams in our count circle. Each team counts the birds in one area. Our team follows the same route every year. Fields, woods, wetlands, neighborhoods, even the center of town. You never know where you'll find birds. Hey, Ava, says Big Al. What are the rules again? He knows I know them, but he tests me every time. Count every bird you see or hear, I tell him. Make sure at least 2 people see or hear it, and don't count any bird twice. The last one is hard, but we do our best. Did you bring the scientist's most important tools, asked Big Al. Mom's got our binoculars, I've got the field guide, and Big Al has a notebook and pencil. But that's not what he means. Our eyes and ears, he says. I say, that's right, says Big Al. It's still dark when we back out of our driveway. I roll down my window and hear an owl. Who's awake? Me too. Hoo, 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 hoo. It calls. We can't see it, but we all hear it, so it counts. Why don't you take the tally today, Ava? Big Al hands me the notebook. I look at Mom and smile. This is my first time. I rate Great Horned Owl at the top of the page and make a single mark. You can see there's a tally sheet over on this, at the side of the page where we're going to keep track of all the birds we see today or hear. Chickadee-dee-dee. A chickadee calls good morning. I add it to the list. I'm going to be busy today. As the sun comes up, a V of birds flies overhead. Long necks, slow wing beats, Canada geese flying over. I make 4 up and down slash marks and 1 across for a bundle of 5. That's the way to tally, says Big Al. I'm keeping an eye out for a big black bird called a raven. I saw one 2 years ago, but not last year. Big Al says ravens are rare around here. I hope we'll see mine again today. Let's check out this field, says Big Al, shooing us from the truck. It's freezing, but birds don't mind. 8 small birds dip and glide, right at us, then veer away. Goldfinches aren't gold in winter, so the color won't help us, but we know them by the way they fly. 1 bundle of 5 and 3 straight marks. A bigger bird jumps to the top of a bush. I lose sight of it for a moment, then it flaps away in a flash of gray and white. Mockingbird markings. Nothing flying right now, Big Al observes. We scan the trees looking for familiar shapes. Tallest oak, Mom whispers, 2 o'clock. Big and Al and I read the tree like a big clock face, with noon at the top and 6 at the bottom. There it is, a big bird of prey with its feathers fluffed up. Its back is brown, its belly white, 1 red-tailed hawk. Let's find its mate, Al says. He and Mom search the other trees, but I stick with the same tree, sure the other hawk is there. I check the tree again. 6 o'clock, I say, close to the trunk. Does everyone see it? It's kind of tough to see. Good eye, says Big Al. As we drive to our next stop, I watch the sky out the window. A blackbird soars above us. Its wings tilt up in a wide, flat V. It can't be my raven. That's the way a vulture flies. I look hard and see two more, higher up and making wobbly circles. Cool, Mom says. Turkey vultures. 3 hatch marks. 1, 2, 3. That's the fun thing about the illustrations in the book. Stephanie, when she did the illustrations, she made exactly the number of birds that Ava counts, so that every time Ava says, if she says she found 8 birds, you can find 8 birds on that page and count along with her. At Weatherby Street, we park and walk down to the marsh. Loud quacks come from the cattails. Quack, quack, quack. When we get closer, we see some ducks dipping their heads under the water looking for food. Splash! 3 other ducks dive out of sight. The dabblers are mallards, bottoms sticking up. The divers are mergansers. I tally them in our notebook. Everything's quiet for a while. Then we spot a quiver in the tall reeds. A hungry great blue heron stretches its long neck, on the lookout for a tasty fish. My stomach growls. Scientists get hungry too. Good thing you guys probably have lunch in front of you, or some of you do. We've got to get some lunch for Ava and her team. As we head to lunch, we see a line of cars stopped ahead. Big Al stamps on the brake. I crane my head out the window to look. A flock of wild turkeys blocks the street between Crosby's Gas and Bagel Bin. We count. It's a big number. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I write 17 on the tally page and circle it. While we wait for the traffic to start moving again, we count starlings in the trees. I count 11. Mom gets 12, but Al gets 13. So I take the average of the 3 and circle the number 12. Stomachs full, we drive through several neighborhoods. We're looking for feeders where birds gather. Maybe you have feeders that look like this in your backyard in winter. Stop, I say. There's one with cardinals, blue jays, and juncos. Wait, and isn't that a brown creeper on that tree? Its feathers look just like the bark. You're getting good at this, says Big Al. I see a squirrel and a chipmunk too, but they don't count. Sometimes when I'm reading, I say, why don't they count? But I know you guys know why they don't count, because they're not birds, right? Only birds count on this one. Whoosh! A hawk with a striped tail dives at the feeder. The small birds scatter. They came to eat seeds, but the larger bird came to eat them. That's one Cooper's hawk for us. A big blackbird wasn't scared away. It hops across the yard. Is that my raven? Haw, haw! A crow, not a raven. Ravens make a croaking sound. I pointed out to Mom and Big Al. Every bird counts. On Horseshoe Lane, houses hide deep in the woods. Someone reported seeing an ovenbird here last week. Big Al says that ovenbirds usually fly south to Central America before now. As scientists, we need to investigate. We make pishing sounds to bring out the ovenbird. Psh, psh, psh. You can try that at home too. Psh, psh, psh. We don't see an ovenbird, but we do hear a downy woodpecker's rat-a-tat-tat on the trunk. Several little chickadees cock their heads at us. We're miles from our last chickadee, so these go on the list too. Psh, psh, psh. Still, no ovenbird. We hear a sound like a cat's meow. Then we see it, a gray bird with a flicking tail. It's a catbird. A funny name. Back on the road, I see movement in Cucurbit Farms fields. Geese in the corn stalks. Count 'em, says Big Al. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Uh-oh, says Mom. That's the same number as our flying flock. They probably landed here. No hatch marks this time. We already tallied these geese. Big Al points to a gray and white bird. Look, Ava, he says, there's your mockingbird. This time it counts. We're getting quite a list of birds. As the sun sets, we pull into my school parking lot. Behind rows of buses are trees full of birds. They're like cutout shapes against the sky, but we can hear them. Cedar waxwings chittering, morning doves coo-hooing, robins singing, cheerio, cheerio, cheerio. I see a big black bird flop to the ground. It looks like a crow, but gronk, gronk, it cries. That's it, I shout. My raven came back. Too dark now to bird, but not too dark for a party. Potluck, hot chocolate, firelight. We meet other teams in our count circle and share what we saw. Big Al gives our tally to the circle chief. She reports for all 10 teams. I love being a citizen scientist. Maybe someday I will go to Antarctica on a bird count. I wonder what birds I'd find there. You can see all the people have gathered, but look who's also come back. The great horned owl from the beginning has decided to join the party. And then we have a little bit of back matter where you can learn more about all of the birds that appeared in the book. And the author's note that tells you a little bit more about the bird count and some resources for where you can find, how you can go about finding a bird count of your own. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. And hopefully you enjoyed going on that adventure with Ava, and you now feel like all ready and set to go and do some bird watching of your own. Yeah? I see, was that Fiona and Chloe? Thumbs up. All right.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you. I saw my favorite bird in there too.
Oh, what's your favorite bird, Aurora?
My favorite bird is a catbird.
Oh, cool. Oh, I'm glad we included it.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, I have a little presentation about how my experiences as a bird watcher were able to be transformed into this book. If we want to do that, or we can have questions, or we can do both. What do you think, Aurora?
Let's see. How about we see if there's any questions first, and then we can go back to that, and then wrap up with any more questions. So let's just check in with everybody. What do you guys think? Do you have any questions for Susan? Maybe you want to share your own bird watching experiences, or ask her questions about bird watching.
Or maybe you have a favorite bird that you'd like to share.
Or you can share your own favorite bird. I see Fiona's hand is up. Go ahead.
My favorite bird's a blue jay, and a few days ago, I think it was on Sunday, I saw a woodpecker. I was able to tell by its red head and its long beak and how it was standing on the tree. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. What a great description. They do seem like they're standing on the tree, don't they? Is that Chloe?
I don't think my sister's right.
Well, I'm excited. I'm glad that I included your favorite bird in my book, Fiona.
Does your sister Chloe, she has her hand up. Does she have something she wants to say?
Chloe, do you have anything you want to say? My favorite bird is the chickadee.
The chickadee. Oh, well, I have a secret. My illustrator, Stephanie Pfizer Coleman, her favorite bird is a chickadee too. And that's why you can see so many chickadees in the beginning of the book and throughout the book. Who else has a question?
Cool. Okay,
let's see. Thank you so much, Fiona and Chloe, for sharing.
Calla's hand is up. Go ahead, Calla.
Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I think she's frozen right now. Yeah, let's circle back with her when she's unfrozen. Okay. Does anybody else have a question or comment? I see Kristen.
Hi, thanks. We have two questions. The first is, we were wondering if the setting of your book is a real place.
Good question. Yes, it actually is. It's modeled after my count circle, because I have a territory that I do every year. I've been doing it for like the last 17, 18 years. So if you happen to, now I live in Stowe, Massachusetts. I did live in Acton. That's both near Concord, if you're familiar with that area. But what this territory is showing is actually based on Acton. My illustrator lives in West Virginia, so she's never been to Acton. So she wasn't really painting anything in particular. But for people who live in the area, there's a couple of little places in there like Cucurbit Farm and Crosby's Gas that actually are in Acton. So there's some fun for to know the local area. Good question. Thanks.
And our other question was if we liked your bird sounds and wanted to ask if you have ideas about how to learn bird sounds.
Well, there are, of course, a lot of CDs that you can listen to. There's, let's see, I wish I could think of, off the top of my head, I know if you Google it, you will find some very good ones. There's also a site called the Cornell Laboratory of Ornithology, and you can look up any bird you want there and find out about the bird, and also click on the audio for the sound so you can hear that. The best way that I learned bird sounds really is to go birding with someone who knows a little bit more about birding than I do. So I always love to bird with people who are better than me because there's something about, you listen to the sound. Every spring I listen to all the warblers, like 25, 30 warblers I could see in this area. But the ones that stick to me are the ones that I actually see when I'm with someone who can confirm and say, that's a prairie warbler, that's a black and white warbler. But you can also learn. I think I learned a lot when I was very young. I wish I'd done more songs. I learned a lot of my ID probably when I was like from the age, even younger than 10. So I think everybody here is at a great age to start learning your bird ID and your bird songs. You will remember them for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. I have this book. It's called Backyard Birdsong Guide, Eastern and Central. It's from the Cornell Lab, and I got it on Amazon. But it looks like it's no longer. I mean, you can buy used copies, but it's great, and I use it, and my kids use it, and you can, go through all the birds. So that's what I like. I also have an app called iBird Pro, and that's been fun too, to try to listen. That one you have to guess a little more what you might be hearing, and then what I like about that is it has different types of calls, like not just the one, most familiar call, but you might have different. Yeah, so that's just my 2 cents too.
I saw that Connie was holding up another, you can buy these portable at any bird store. You can order them online have cards with the different birds and their families. So you'll have like the woodpecker card or the owl card, and you stick it in and you can press the button and hear the sound. There is also a great book. It's sort of like a coffee table size book that has bird calls in it, and you can turn to the proper page and press the button and hear the bird call on that page. So that's a fun book as well.
Great question. I see it looks like Calla is unfrozen now, so I'm going to give her another chance to ask her question.
Have you ever seen a American woodcock doing its mating dance?
I have, and that is so exciting. Have you? Have you gotten to see that?
No, but I've seen a video of it on my mom's phone.
Oh, well, sometime if you get a chance, I don't know whether the Darby Creek Association does any walks like that. I worked for a wildlife sanctuary that's part of Mass Audubon called Drumlin Farm, and we have some bird walks. And about a year ago, I went on a woodcock walk in the evening with an expert birder, and we did get to see the birds doing their thing, flying up. It's very exciting and beautiful. First you hear them go peep, 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 and then suddenly this and the bird flies up and does this whirling dance. So I highly recommend you get a chance to do something like that if any local organization, birding
That is so
organization.
fun. I had actually tried to reach out to a couple places and, with this webinar to see if we could, suggest some upcoming counts and walks, but with what's going on this year, there haven't been a lot of people committing to the events, but if I find out there are any in-person events going on that are being done safely in our area, I will definitely share that with everyone in the call.
Sounds great.
So I see that Carolyn and Emily have their hands up. Thanks for waiting patiently.
We've been to Drummond Farm.
You have, really?
Yeah, we usually for Thanksgiving, we visit some family that lives in Framingham. And we're not going this year, but we usually go visit them once at Thanksgiving and maybe sometimes once in the spring. And I don't remember which time it was, but we got to see the chicken house and the cows and what else was there? I don't remember.
What do you mean? I don't remember either.
You don't remember? That is so exciting.
Yeah,
Wow, you were here. I live just like a 15-minute drive from there. So it's very exciting to think that you were here in my backyard. I teach preschool, and we pond and we climb the drumlin and we look in the forest, and we also do farm chores. So we do go to the chicken house and collect eggs and groom Midnight the pony. So hopefully you'll get a chance to come again.
Yeah, well, hopefully coronavirus will end and then we'll get to visit our
It will end. I know. It's tough. We're very fortunate to have nature to enjoy, and that's one thing that we can do with our families and our children, and it's out there every day for us.
That is so true. I see a hand up in Julianne, Natalie, and Kathleen's screen.
Have you ever seen a blue jay?
I have seen blue jays. I do see them right out my back window. I have a little forest in the back, so it's fun. Sometimes they come to the feeder. We see them a lot at Drumlin Farm, and a lot of several of my preschoolers. I was actually just doing a report on one of my preschoolers this morning, and I realized that her favorite bird was a blue jay, that she had several times pointed out blue jays and said that she really liked blue jays. Blue jays are also cool because they're kind of mimics, which means that they're able to imitate the song of some other birds as well. So sometimes when you hear a blue jay, most often you hear the jay, 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 but then there's like a song that almost sounds like tinkling bells that they sing. And sometimes I have heard them imitating a red-tailed hawk. I've thought that there was a hawk going, yeah, yeah, and then it's nothing but a blue jay.
Wow, thanks. Okay, I see a couple hands still. Let's see, Fiona.
My sister says that she thinks her favorite bird is actually a cardinal, and I sometimes love to see blue jays. I've seen more than 6 of them. Once I saw one at my grandparents' house, and once I saw 6 at the same time. Right now.
I think it's so cool that we have birds that are so brightly colored, especially in the winter time when there's snow everywhere. To see like a blue jay with its bright blue coat, or a cardinal with its brilliant feathers against the snow is just gorgeous.
It is. Okay, I see Carolyn and Emily, your hands up. Go ahead.
You want to tell them about the blue jay? They're feeling camera shy, but we have some chickens in our backyard, and we worry when the hawks come, and we are very often confused because we get tricked by the blue jay sounding like a hawk, and then we feel like we should put our chickens away, and then we notice it's actually just a blue jay in a tree.
That's so funny. So you've had firsthand experience of that.
Yeah.
I think that the blue jay is really kind of doing a service for the other birds and other animals, because when he sounds that alarm, even if the hawk isn't making a sound. Maybe it's because he sees a hawk somewhere, I don't know. Because they do give warnings to other birds. So sometimes when you hear very loud blue jay calls, it means there's some other predator or threat in the area, and the other birds will fall silent.
Great, thanks. Are there any other questions before we have, maybe Susan will give a little more background. Oh, I see Connie.
Connie.
Go ahead.
Hi, Connie.
Hi. So I wanted to mention that this is called a bird song identifier. And I have used these with kids. Kids love this thing because they can carry it around and they can choose a bird and listen to it. So that is a pileated woodpecker that I saw very recently. And I wanted to say, I'm down here in Florida. I moved to Florida.
Oh, wow.
So most of the birds that were in your book, I see down here. Not all of them. So I'm wondering if I'm going to see some of them this winter down in Florida that I don't see now. So, but a lot of the birds that you've mentioned are have been down here since I've been down here since May. So
yeah,
put that in.
No, I love birding in Florida because
it's amazing.
There's just birds everywhere, things that I can't see up here, like wood storks and ibises and
the ospreys and great blue herons are so common.
Yes.
That it's amazing. I also wanted to mention that my friend Holly Merker has started an organization called Ornitherapy.
Oh.
So it's something you might want to look into. They're doing field trips and things like that. But you know, with COVID, it started right before COVID happened.
Yeah.
But it's called Ornitherapy, and basically it's the therapy of going birding.
I think it's great therapy. Whenever you feel stressed, because when you're in nature, you just have to focus on what's in front of you. You can't worry about what happened yesterday or what's going to happen tomorrow. You're just totally in the moment, just like all the other creatures that you're out there with. And I find it so relaxing to just be able to immerse myself in nature and look at what's around me.
So for all the kids, I want you to think about when you see a bird, especially a little tiny chickadee, imagine they have all the things in your body in that tiny little body. I'm always amazed by that. And lizards and things. Like they have a heart and a circulatory system and lungs. And I can't believe, like in that tiny little package of a chickadee is all the things that we have in our bodies. I'm just always amazed by that.
That's true.
I
Another
always feel like
amazing thing.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say in the winter time, I'm always blown away that these teeny tiny little things are out in the freezing, below freezing weather, and they're fully equipped to handle it, that they can fluff up their feathers and stay warm enough. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, it's interesting that, when I say in the book, it's freezing, but birds don't mind. The birds, even the birds that fly south, all of the birds in my book are resident birds, so they usually do stay all winter, although great blue herons, it depends. As long as there's open water, some will stay. But if it's a very cold winter and all the ponds and streams freeze over, then they will leave. Robins, some will migrate. I think sometimes we get robins that are coming from further north. But the birds aren't migrating because it's too cold for them. They're migrating because their food source has gone away, because so many of the birds that fly south eat insects that are flying around. And do you see insects flying around in the winter? No. There might be some under the bark of the tree, which is why the woodpeckers can stay around, because they're finding the insects very deep under the tree bark. But birds that rely on or fresh seeds or nectar of flowers like hummingbirds, or birds that rely on insects like swallows or many other birds, warblers, they have to go south where the insects can still live.
And that's a similar story to why it's so exciting in our area when people see snowy owls, because they only really come down, south when they don't have enough food up in their northern territories. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people think that, where we are, birds are only flying south, but there are birds flying to us, like the snowy owl, like the juncos. We don't see the juncos in the summer, but we get to see them in the wintertime.
That's right. Okay, are there any, I saw some hands kind of going up and down. Are there any, was there anyone waiting? I think I see Chloe. Go ahead.
Once I saw his brother outside. I have and I his brother and I Chloe.
About birds.
Chloe. This is about
All right, thank you. Does anyone else have any comments? Oof. I see a thumbs up in Daryl's screen. Do you have a comment? Go ahead and unmute.
Tanner was just saying thumbs up.
Oh, Tanner was just saying thumbs up. Okay, like you agree? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, anyone else? Any questions even about writing a book? You have questions about that?
I
Okay.
just realized, like, is there some questions in the chat? Oh, I see.
Let's see. Let me check the chats. Some people saying thank you.
Yep.
Danielle said thank you so much. Kristen said thank you. Connie said adorable book. So I don't think I see any questions. Connie's saying birdsong identifier is the toy I use in the field. I've seen that too.
Yep.
That can be very helpful. Okay. Yep, so I don't see any questions there. Let's see. Do you think we have time for, you wanted to talk a little more about how you came to write the book?
Yeah, I was just gonna,
background?
I do have another little PowerPoint. Maybe I can go through it just sort of quickly, but I wanted to let everybody know that if we have any aspiring authors out there, that a lot of what I write does come from some of my personal experience. People sometimes say that you should write what you know about, but I always say that you should write what you want to know about and learn more about. So I love birding, but even for this book, where I'm a pretty good birder and I know a lot, but I had to research for this book as well. And I just wanted to show you some of the ways that what I know and my experience is translated into the book. So I'm going to just pull up my other slideshow and share. We'll do the screen share again. There we go. And I call this slideshow Journey to Bird Count. I've revised the title page a little bit, the cover page a little bit. So we'll go through this fairly quickly, but I had some beautiful pictures of birds. I love birds. I've been identifying them ever since I was a child. We always had binoculars on my kitchen table to look out the back window. And these are some pictures of myself in my younger self at like 12 and 16 when I'm hiking in one of my favorite places, Acadia National Park. And I've got my binoculars, my backpack. And here I am counting birds in Monterey, California. Well, I actually didn't count all those birds. That's a lot of birds, but I love to look at them. Those are cormorants, and that was an amazing number of birds to see at one time. I'm glad that wasn't my territory. I don't think I could have counted them all. Here I am all set to bird on the mountainside with my binoculars on a beautiful day. And here's another tool that I sometimes use, a spotting scope. And this is on actually another bird count that I do called the Birdathon, which takes place in May during the migration season. And instead of counting every single bird I see on this count, you count each species, each different kind of bird you see. This shows all the different territories in my count circle, and I am territory 10. So that I do the same territory every year, so we get very familiar with it. But you can see how all of these towns, there's Acton, and Stowe is where I live now, and Littleton, all of these towns are broken up, and I'm probably in Pennsylvania, your state is all broken up into these territories too, where different teams of people are birding in each area in the state.
That's particular to the Christmas bird count, right?
That's particular to the Christmas bird count. Yes.
Okay, because I know like we sometimes just will watch in our backyard, and there's other citizen science projects that have you just tally for your backyard birds too. If you're not able to travel around in the area, we could just tally and keep count that way too.
Yeah, there's the Great Backyard Bird Count, I think takes place in February. If you Google that, you can find, I think the Cornell Lab of Ornithology sponsors that. So here I am with my team leader. This is the real person that I bird with, and his name is Al Segroy. So he was the model for Big Al. The other two characters are not really any particular people, but Al was modeled after Big Al. So you can see what my illustrator, how she reinvented him. She never saw a picture of Al, but Al was very, very tickled to see himself as a character in the book. And here we are out in the field looking for birds. And this shows how Stephanie can reinterpret something that we're actually doing, looking out, scanning the sky for hawks. Here is the checklist that we turn in at the end of the day. We do actually do the tallies with the hatch marks and the cross hatches, but at the end of the day, we submit this list of all the birds that we've seen. This year, we had, how many different birds? I think we had maybe 29 or 30 different species of birds, and you can see the different numbers: 50 Canada geese, 39 house sparrows, and just one golden crowned kinglet, and various numbers for the different birds. And this is how that was translated. My publisher thought that the whole idea of the tallying the birds was one of the more interesting things about the count. So she wanted that readers to be able to do that along with Ava. And this just shows that it takes a lot of perseverance to publish a book, and it's not the first time, it's not the first manuscript you write that's going to get accepted for publication. This was the very first version of Bird Count, and it is nothing like the one that finished. I'll just read a couple of lines here. Grab your binoculars, zip up your coats. Today, everyone counts. One titmouse seesaw sings from the birch. So when I sent that to my publisher, she liked it, but she said she wanted more. And so there's a couple more versions. I actually had to work with, this is my critique group. These are people that are writers and authors and illustrators, and we all help each other out. So when my editor first read my manuscript, she didn't accept it. She said she liked the idea, but she wanted to see more science, more bird watching techniques. And I actually had to completely rewrite the manuscript 3 or 4 times before it got accepted. And I never would have been able to do that without this wonderful community of people who read my manuscript and gave me encouragement and made helpful suggestions.
I feel like that's such an important message to young writers, because I know with my own children, when I see them struggling with stories and writing, they feel like stuck because it's not perfect on the first try and they can't get it right. And just knowing that authors rewrite things and they get feedback from other people, and they, other people give them ideas and help them shape what the final product is. I love that message.
And I think a mistake that a lot of young authors make when they send their first manuscripts in is they feel like if they get rejected and get some criticism, that the editor isn't interested and doesn't want their work. But I've learned that if they say anything about the book at all, that's a good sign. If they make a suggestion, take it. So these are some of the things that they like. They like the idea of the bird count. They like the character of Big Al, but they wish the reader could learn actual bird watching techniques in the story. So they gave some very specific criticism. I also had the opportunity to see some early sketches by my illustrator. I did not know the illustrator before. That's another interesting thing, that publishers do not expect you to choose your illustrator if you are not the illustrator yourself. They have people that they will look for and find for you. So if you're just a writer and you say, I can't do a picture book because I don't draw pictures, no problem. You don't need to. And, or if you just draw pictures and don't write stories, you could also be an illustrator. So this is one of the first sketches that I got to see and comment on. And that translated into this book, into this spread here, where Stephanie ended up turning the characters around so that they were looking into the book, away from the reader instead of towards us. And this shows the technique of bird watching, looking at the tree like a clock face, which is what Ava does. They first find the first bird at 2 o'clock, and then they find the second bird at 6 o'clock. And here I am at my bird launch at my local bookstore, and I cannot say enough wonderful things about our local bookstores. So I always encourage people, if you're interested in ordering bird count, you can order it from your local bookstore, or you can order it from Silver Unicorn, because I wanted to work with my bookstore because they did so much to help me and to help me sell my books. And here are just some of my other author colleagues going to some conferences and doing a school visit. And this was a fun event. I did at a local Birds Unlimited, and this was a raffle, and this little girl won a raffle of a free book of bird count and Skype visits. Now we do more Zoom visits and Skype visits. And this is my daughter, who's a teacher, who went on a service trip to Puerto Rico, and she was able to bring bird count with her and share it with the students in the school that she visited as well. So it's been a wonderful journey for me. This was my first picture book, my first book for children to get published, and it's taken a long time, but I will have more coming out. So I have, my next one will be out in 2022, which is called Night Owl Night.
Fun, great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that and for sharing your day with us, your lunch hour. It's been really fun, and I think that we're wrapping up here.
Great. Well, it's been so wonderful meeting everybody. And hi, Everett or Luke. I can see you waving. Carolyn or Emily. And thank you so much for coming. It was really fun to have this opportunity to meet you all today.
And so many good comments and questions.
Absolutely.
My favorite part. So enjoy your afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Susan. I'm going to be following up in an email to everyone with links to the book and more about Susan and more about bird watching, so that you can go ahead and get ready to watch some birds.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you.